Okay, imagine this. It's a warm, lazy Saturday afternoon, June. You're maybe out on the water, Barmet Bay. Motorboat races are happening. Everything feels just calm, idyllic even.
Right, the perfect summer day.
Until it isn't. Suddenly there's this huge explosion, smoke everywhere,
Yeah.
and a woman. She just leaps off a yacht into the water.
Wow. Yeah, sounds like something straight out of a movie, but this was the real, totally unexpected start to a genuine mystery we're digging into today.
Exactly. This deep dive, it's really a journey into how something that looks like a simple rescue, well, it just spirals into something much more complex, a real puzzle.
We're going to explore these surprising links between events that seem, totally unrelated at first glance, and maybe most importantly, how tiny little details, things you might just ignore, can actually be the key, the absolute key to cracking a case wide open.
And our source material for this, it's fantastic. We've got excerpts from a classic adventure story, The Secret of the Caves.
Yeah.
It's all about these two brilliant young amateur detectives.
Yeah, this story gives us everything, the characters, the setting, the whole incredible sequence of events we're about to break down.
So our mission today is to really pull out the most interesting, the most important bits of insight from this story for you.
We want to show you how this one rescue, this dramatic moment on the bay, leads into this tangled web involving a missing professor, yeah, and an escaped criminal, and even this eccentric old man living in a cave. It's quite a ride.
It really is. Okay, let's dive in. Let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So setting the scene again, that warm Saturday, Barmet Bay, near Bayport. We've got the Hardy boys, Frank, the older one, dark-haired, maybe 16.
Around that, yeah. And his younger brother Joe, curly-headed, a year younger. They're out in their motorboat, the Sleuth. It's fast. They're watching their friends race.
And these aren't just ordinary kids, right?
Yeah.
They've got a bit of a history with solving mysteries.
Oh, yeah. They'd already made a name for themselves locally. Amateur detectives, sure, but pretty sharp. They often helped out their father, Fenton Hardy.
Right, the
Yeah.
famous private detective.
Exactly. Internationally famous, actually. So the boys already have this knack, this instinct for investigation. It kind of sets the stage for what happens next. They're not easily rattled.
Good point. Which is lucky, because what happens next is, well, it's chaos. Suddenly, boom, this huge puff of black smoke from a nearby yacht, then the sound of an explosion.
Right. And this woman, she runs to the rail, clearly panicked, and just jumps overboard.
And Frank and Joe, and the sleuth, they're the closest. They react instantly.
Joe doesn't even hesitate, does he? Dives right in. She's going down for the third time, apparently.
And he keeps his cool, too. Remembers his first aid, avoids her panicked grabs, gets a proper hold. Textbook rescue, really.
Absolutely. So they get her onto the Sleuth. The source calls her an elderly woman dressed in black. She's half conscious, soaked, obviously very, very nervous.
Meanwhile, their friends get over to the yacht, find out the fire was from a gasoline tin exploding, but it's under control.
But here's where it gets really interesting, isn't it?
Yes. The rescued woman.
Mm.
She comes around a bit and she absolutely insists on being taken straight to Bayport. Why?
Because she needs to see Fenton Hardy.
Their father.
Their own father. Imagine their surprise. What are the odds?
Seriously,
Yeah.
that's more than just a coincidence. Surely,
Yeah.
it feels like something else is at play.
It really does. It immediately throws this layer of destiny, or maybe just a really strange hidden connection into the mix. It pulls the boys into something much more personal than just a random rescue.
And it shows how much trust people place in Fenton Hardy,
Yeah.
that she'd specifically seek him out.
Right. So Miss Todd, she introduces herself as Evangeline Todd. She is absolutely stunned to find out these boys are Fenton Hardy's sons. She's cagey at first, doesn't want to talk about her important business.
But eventually she does.
She does, and it's a bombshell. The reason she needs Fenton Hardy, her twin brother, Professor Todd'em Todd, Ph.D., has been missing.
For how long?
4 months.
Wow, 4 months. That's a really cold trail for any detective, even someone like Fenton Hardy. What happened? What's the story there?
Well, the backstory is pretty tragic, actually. It connects back to a terrible train wreck that happened months before. 5 people were killed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And both Todd'em and Evangeline were on that train, got badly hurt, and the source says their nerves were shattered. Todd'em, described as already a nervous sort of man, apparently just went all to pieces after the wreck, became very queer, is the phrase used.
And he disappeared.
Right before a lawsuit against the railway company was about to happen, he just vanished. It paints this picture of someone incredibly fragile, maybe pushed over the edge by the trauma.
So Mr. Hardy takes the case, despite the 4-month gap.
He does. He notes how difficult it'll be, obviously, after so long. He goes to the professor's college town, traces him through like half a dozen
But
places.
then loses the trail.
Yeah, the train goes cold in a place called Claymore, about 50 miles south of Baycourt, Fenton's theory. He thinks the professor probably had some kind of mental breakdown, maybe lost his memory, and is just wandering, trying to figure out who he is. Amnesia, essentially.
Okay, so the official investigation hits a dead end.
Like, pretty much. But here's where the boys kind of accidentally make a huge contribution. While Miss Todd is staying at their house, recovering,
They learn something about the professor.
they learn two really specific, quirky little details from her. Things maybe only a twin sister would know or mention. First, he was extremely absent-minded, like really absent-minded, especially about his shoelaces.
Shoelaces.
Yeah. Apparently, he'd often go out with them untied, just dragging on the ground.
Huh. Okay, that's specific. What's the second thing?
His favorite exclamation, when he got excited or flustered, instead of swearing, he'd say, "By Jing."
Bai Jing. Okay, shoelaces and Bai Jing.
That-
That doesn't sound like much to go on.
You wouldn't think so, would you? But Fenton Hardy, their dad, he hears this and immediately recognizes how valuable these little quirks could be. They're identifiers, things he hadn't uncovered in his own investigation.
So, like, tiny personal habits can actually be major clues.
Exactly. It's a fantastic point about detective work, isn't it? Sometimes the most seemingly trivial things, the little habits people have, they're the unique fingerprint. They can unlock something when all the bigger leads have dried up. It's all about observation.
Okay, so Fenton's investigation stalled, but these clues are filed away. Now, the story shifts a bit, right? Summer holidays start.
Yeah, the professor's case is kind of on the back burner. Seems like nothing's happening. And the boys, Frank and Joe, they're planning a trip with their friends, a motorbike trip.
And this trip takes them, coincidentally,
Yeah.
near where the professor's trail went cold.
Well, not exactly planned that way, but yes. Biff Hooper, one of their friends, starts talking about these old sailor stories, tales of the honeycomb caves down south of Barmet Bay.
Treasure caves.
Supposedly,
Yeah.
wreckers hid their loot there, or so the story goes. And this, of course, gets Chet Morton, another friend who loves food and adventure, really excited.
So off they go looking for treasure. But it's not all smooth sailing, is it? They get warnings.
Almost immediately, they stop in Glen Cove, this little fishing village near the caves. And the old guy running the store, he warns them off, tells them about queer things happening around there.
Queer things. Like what?
Queer lights, he says, and shootin'. Claims 2 men got shot at near the caves recently. He thinks it's smugglers.
Okay, that sounds more serious than old sailor yarns.
You'd think. And then the fisherman, John, where they leave their motorbikes, he repeats the warnings, says he heard the most awful screech coming from the cliffs one night, calls the place downright spooky.
So, smugglers, shootings, spooky screeches. Do the boys listen?
What do you think?
Huh.
Probably not.
Exactly. They're thrilled. This is excitement. Just what they wanted. They totally dismissed the warnings. Just exaggerated stories, they figure. Fishermen spinning yarns.
It's that classic mix, isn't it? Youthful confidence, maybe a bit of arrogance, and just the sheer thrill of a possible mystery overriding common sense.
Absolutely. But you know those local legends, those yarns, they often have a kernel of truth buried inside, don't they? It's like foreshadowing. And they find out pretty quickly that this isn't just talk. Things get dangerous fast.
Oh yeah, their treasure hunt turns into something else entirely. They're heading towards the cliffs and this sudden, really violent storm blows up.
And Joe, he stops to tie his shoelace. Oh, the irony.
Right. Stops to tie a lace, gets separated from the others in the storm, loses his footing on the steep path, and falls
Falls where?
into a deep pit, a hole hidden by bushes.
Oh, no. So Frank and the others have to rescue him in the middle of a storm.
Yeah, Frank, Biff, and Chet have to brave the wind and rain, find a rope, and haul him out. Pretty harrowing start.
So they need shelter. Badly.
Definitely. They find a cave opening, stumble inside, soaked and freezing, and then they find something unexpected.
What?
A pile of dry driftwood, neatly stacked, carefully by human hands, the source says.
Okay, that's not natural. Someone's been using this cave.
Exactly. It lets them build a fire, which is great, but it also deepens the mystery. Who left it and why?
And the weirdness doesn't stop there, does it, later that night?
Yeah. Joe wakes up. He hears footsteps inside the cave, in the dark.
Oh, creepy. What does he do?
He calls out, like, who's there? And he hears this muffled exclamation. Someone was startled. Then the sound of rock crashing, like something was knocked over, and then running footsteps going deeper into the cave system.
An intruder. So they go after him.
They do. They follow the sound, find footprints in the damp earth leading into this maze of passages. But then, disaster strikes again.
Frank's flashlight goes out.
Yep. Dies right when they're in this confusing network of tunnels. They get separated in the pitch blackness.
And Frank falls. Again.
He falls into another pit. They hear his cry, then the sickening sound of falling rock.
Oh, that's terrifying. The others must have thought the worst.
Absolutely. For about an hour, Joe, Chet, and Biff are just frantically searching in the dark, shouting his name, fearing he's seriously hurt, or worse. Finally, they hear a faint cry.
And they find him.
They find him, pull him out. He's bruised, got a nasty gash on his temple, but he's alive. Shaken up, obviously.
What an ordeal. They must have just wanted to get back to their fire and rest.
You'd think. But when they finally make it back to that first cave, more bad news.
Don't tell me. The intruder came back.
Seems like it. While they were busy rescuing Frank, someone stole most of their food, their provisions. All that's left is like one loaf of bread and a single tin of sardines.
Wow. So they're stuck in these dangerous caves, injured in a storm, and now they barely have any food. And there's someone else lurking around.
Yeah, the stakes just got a whole lot higher. It's not just about treasure anymore. It's about survival and figuring out who this prowler is.
Okay, so the next morning, things must be tense. What do?
They keep exploring, carefully this time, and they find another cave entrance, but this one has a sign.
A sign.
In a cave.
A crude, hand-painted sign. No trespassing.
Well, that's inviting. Do they trespass?
Of course they do. They peek inside, and it's clearly inhabited, and then they meet him.
Captain Royal. Captain Royal. This eccentric old man dressed like a fisherman, and he's singing this really bizarre sea shanty. Something about being captain of the King's Navy and wanting sugar in his tea.
Okay, so right away he seems a bit off.
Definitely. The boys quickly figure he's, as they put it, off his head. He starts spinning these absolutely wild tales, claims he's a retired Navy captain.
What kind of tales?
Oh, being marooned in the South Seas, fighting rhinoceroses, winning battles single-handedly in the Spanish-American War. Just completely improbable stuff.
Right. Total fantasy. It's almost like he's creating a whole new identity for himself.
That's a really sharp observation. It's like a performance, but then his mood just flips. One minute he seems friendly, accepting their presence. The next he's furious.
What happened?
He just starts shouting at them, "Go away, get out!" and storms off deeper into his cave. The boys are just left there thinking, okay, this guy's definitely not playing with a full deck.
But then comes the connection.
Yeah.
The big aha moment.
Yes. Later on, Frank and Joe are talking, trying to make sense of this weird encounter, and they start recalling the specifics of Captain Royal.
The details.
The little details. His untied shoelaces.
The shoelaces.
And the phrase he kept using when he got agitated or excited?
Let me guess. By Jing.
By Jing. The exact unique identifiers that Miss Evangeline Todd had told them about her missing twin brother, Professor Totem Todd.
Unbelievable. So this seemingly crazy old man living in a cave singing about sugar, he could actually be the missing, highly educated professor.
It's an incredible leap, isn't it? But the clues match perfectly. Those tiny, quirky details suddenly become the absolute linchpin connecting these two completely different identities. It blows the case wide open again.
It really shows you never discount the small stuff.
Never. It's often the key.
So mysteries are starting to collide here. They think they've found the professor, but what about the cave prowler, the thief?
Well, that gets resolved pretty quickly, and again, almost by accident. The very next morning, it's foggy. Frank and Joe go back towards Captain Royal's cave area.
And they find someone.
They find someone sprawled out on the beach, passed out drunk. And guess who it is?
Not. The auto thief.
Carl Sham. The guy who escaped jail? The one who stole Frank's motorbike earlier in another case. And lying right next to him.
They're stolen food.
They're stolen provisions. Bingo.
So you as the prowler and the thief all along.
Looks like it. It just shows how these different plot threads can unexpectedly weave together, doesn't it?
Totally. So what do they do with Sham?
Well, first they tie him up. Then they use some cold seawater to wake him up. He's groggy, confused.
And he confesses.
Admits everything. Stealing motorbike, and stealing their food from the cave. Claims he was starving and just meant to borrow it. He also mentions stealing some blankets from a hotel in Bayport after his jailbreak.
Convenient. And how do they get him back to the police?
Pure luck again, almost. They run into a Mr. Sims, a local merchant whose car Sham had also stolen previously. So Mr. Sims is more than happy to take the captured thief off their hands and ensure he gets back behind bars.
Okay, so one mystery solved. Sham is caught. Now, back to Captain Royal, a.k.a. Professor Todd.
Right. With Sham dealt with, they go back to Captain Royal's cave. It's empty again when they get there, and they take a closer look around.
At his stuff, his library.
Exactly. And it's not sea shanties and navigation charts. It's piles and piles of clippings, lecture notes, manuscripts on philosophy, science. Clearly academic stuff, not sailor stuff at all.
More proof he's not who he claims to be, but then they find something else, don't they? Something darker?
Yeah, newspaper clippings about a completely different case, a murder.
A murder.
Lieutenant Patwick, described as a nervous, high-strung former naval officer. He apparently shot someone named Barton Bixby and then fled, became a fugitive.
So now they're wondering, could Captain Royal actually be this guy, the murderer Patwick, hiding out?
It throws them for a loop. Is he the professor? Is he the murderer? Is he just crazy? It's a brilliant red herring, actually. Keeps the reader and the boys guessing.
Right when they're puzzling over this.
He comes back, Captain Royal returns, finds them in his cave, looking at his papers.
And he's not happy.
Furious, accuses them of trying to steal his precious papers. He completely loses it. Grabs a double-barreled shotgun he has stashed there.
Whoa, a shotgun. He threatens to shoot them?
He does, levels it right at them. It's a super tense moment. Joe, quick thinking, creates a diversion, yells or something. Frank manages to circle around behind him.
And the captain fires?
He fires both barrels. It's loaded with flour.
Flour.
Seriously.
Chuckle. Yeah, just flour. It puffs out everywhere. It's almost comical, but it really underlines how disturbed he is. His reality is completely warped.
But even though it's just flour, he's still enraged, right? Oh, completely. He's yelling incoherently, throws the empty shotgun down and just bolts, runs out of the cave and starts scrambling up that dangerous, slippery cliff face where Joe fell before.
Is he trying to get away? Or
It seems like he's just in a blind panic. He even stops, picks up a heavy rock and hurls it down at the boys who are starting to follow him.
they're following him even after he threatened them through a rock?
Yeah, because despite everything, they're worried he's going to hurt himself. He's acting so erratically, climbing this treacherous cliff. They want to stop him falling.
But they can't.
He's too fast, too desperate. And then the inevitable happens. He loses his footing on the wet rocks,
He slips.
slips, and just plunges over the edge, down into the sea below, which is really turbulent from the recent storm.
Oh, wow. So after all that, he falls. Is he?
It looks bad, really bad. But Frank doesn't hesitate, again.
He goes in after him. Into those waves. Near the rocks.
He does. It's incredibly dangerous. He's exhausted himself. The waves are crashing. The rocks are sharp. But he risks his own life, dives in.
And manages to reach him.
Manages to reach him, yeah. Drags the unconscious Captain Royal Professor Todd back to the shore. He's battered, bleeding. It was a heroic rescue, truly.
Just incredible bravery.
Yeah.
So they get him back to civilization.
With help, they flag down a passing motorist, Mr. Jacobson, and manage to get the injured man back to Bayport, straight to the hospital.
How is he?
Critical condition, severe head wound, concussion. The doctor says his chances are slim. It's touch and go.
So while he's unconscious in the hospital, does the other mystery get resolved? The Lieutenant Patwick one.
Yes, perfectly timed, really. A few days later, news breaks. Lieutenant Patwick, the actual murderer from the newspaper clippings, has been captured somewhere else.
So Captain Royal definitely isn't him.
Definitely not. And get this, Patwick confesses and even mentions that while he was on the run, he briefly hid out in a cave with a lunatic.
Wow. Confirmation. The lunatic has to be Professor Todd in his Captain Royal persona.
Exactly. All the pieces are falling into place now. The Patwick angle was just a distraction, a false lead.
So with that cleared up, the boys know who they rescued. They bring Miss Todd to the hospital.
They do. They bring Evangeline Todd to his bedside. And the moment she sees him, even unconscious and injured, she knows.
She identifies it.
Instantly confirms that this man, this Captain Royal, is indeed her long-lost twin brother, Professor Todd'em Todd. It's the confirmation they needed. The core mystery is solved.
But is he going to recover? And what about his memory?
It takes time. Nearly 2 weeks pass, and then finally he regains consciousness.
And does he remember? Does he remember being Captain Royal? The caves?
Here's the really fascinating, kind of poignant part. He wakes up, but with almost complete amnesia for everything that happened after the train wreck.
So he remembers his life before, as a professor.
Perfectly. Remembers being Todd'em Todd, the academic, but the wandering, the caves, living as Captain Royal, threatening the boys, falling off the cliff.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. It's like that entire period, that whole fractured identity born from trauma has just been wiped clean. Blank slate.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And maybe a blessing in disguise for him.
His sister certainly thinks so. Miss Todd makes the decision not to tell him about that phase. Why burden him with it, right? Let him have a fresh start back to the life he actually remembers.
It's a powerful resolution.
Hmm.
So the professor is safe, his identity restored, mostly. How do the boys feel?
They're just content. He's okay. They solved the mystery, saved his life twice over. They refuse any reward, naturally.
But Miss Todd insists.
Oh, she's immensely grateful. She throws this huge, lavish banquet for the boys and their friends, Biff and Chet, too. Gives Frank and Joe a really nice motion picture camera.
And Biff and Chet.
Gold watches and chains. Very generous gifts.
Does the professor attend the banquet?
He does. Still a bit bewildered by everything, maybe not quite understanding the full extent of what happened or why everyone's making such a fuss. But he's there, safe and sound, thanks to the boys.
What an absolutely amazing sequence of events. Just think, it all started with that explosion and a woman jumping overboard.
It really did. From that one act of bravery, that rescue, we saw this whole complex, deeply personal mystery unraveled. And it really hammered home how those tiny clues,
The shoelaces.
the shoelaces, the Beijing, how they were absolutely crucial. It proves that sometimes the smallest, most overlooked details hold the biggest secrets.
And this whole story, this deep dive, it really makes you think about identity, doesn't it? How fragile it can be, how trauma can reshape it.
Absolutely. Professor Todd lost that Captain Royal part of himself completely when his memory reset. Was that identity gone forever? Or just buried deep down somewhere?
If the memory never came back, did that part of him cease to exist? It's a fascinating question.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many layers might we all have? Hidden personas or forgotten experiences, just waiting for some kind of trigger, some accident maybe, to bring them to the surface or maybe lock them away forever.
Yeah. Think about it. What tiny, seemingly insignificant detail might someone someday use to identify you? What's your untied shoelace?